let's break down this game with our guy, Brian Baldinger. Baldy's joining us right now. How's it going, Baldy?
Things are good, guys. Real good, man. Let me center myself here. Things are good. It's good to be with you, man.
Good.
No
It's
complaints.
great. It's great to have you. And man, good things are good in Broncos country as well, Baldy. And a massive, massive game coming up. One of the biggest games that I can remember in terms of just like what the Broncos can prove with this game. And so when we look at the Ravens, Baldy, specifically with this great Broncos defense going up against the Ravens offense, what do the Broncos need to shut down first and focus on stopping first? Is it Lamar Jackson through the air? Is it Lamar Jackson on the ground? Or is it Derrick Henry on the ground?
Well, they're kind of interesting. You'd think, Derrick Henry, because he leads the league in rushing and he's doing all the highlight things. There's stretches of games when they're either in a shootout like they were with Cincinnati, or other type of games where it's a big third down game. He doesn't come on the field. Justice Hill's on the field. And so they go away. Now, he's had some monster runs in the fourth quarter this year. But really, I mean, their run defense will get tested because you don't want Derrick Henry to get any kind of a runway. And if they can kind of prevent that, he doesn't get big runs. He's not a guy that makes people miss, or he's not a guy that really runs people over. He needs space, and then he can get his speed is just so great in size. That's when he gets his big runs. But, Zach Allen and DJ and, John Franklin Myers, those guys got to do their job up front right now. And not let him get started. I think that's the key. Lamar's playing great, but I still think shutting down Derrick Henry and making him more of a passing team is the way to go.
The Ravens offensive line has gone through some changes over the past couple of years. I'm curious, when you just look at the matchup between the Broncos front and the Ravens offensive line, how do you see that combination alone kind of playing out?
Well, the Ravens, they kind of replace offensive linemen the way Walmart restocks shelves, to be honest with you. Like, they've got 3 new starters in there. There's Rosengarten over at right tackle. And, they've got Faalele at right guard. He's the biggest human being in the league at right guard. He's a massive guy. And then they have, like, McCarry at left guard right now. But the center is a Pro Bowl center. And Ronnie Stanley's been a Pro Bowl and an All-Pro left tackle. They've got Ricard, who's basically an offensive guard, playing fullback, H-back, tight end. So they're good. They're good up front, really good, and in all phases. McCarry's an amazing player. He has started at every position on the offensive line for the Ravens, and they found a home for him at left guard right now because Voorhees got hurt.
Baldy, I want to switch over to the defensive side of the ball. And these the Ravens defense historically has been really good. I mean, you can go back years and years, and they've been a dominant defense. And we know that they're good in the run, number one in the run game as far as defense. But what's happening in this passing game? Why have they fallen off so much?
It's unbelievable. It really is. They can't get lined. Like last week against Cleveland, they couldn't even get lined up. They gave up a touchdown pass to Tillman. I mean, honestly, Roquan was trying to get. They didn't have anybody playing right defensive end. But you see this all the time. And the touchdown, the game-winning touchdown, I don't know what Eddie Jackson was doing in the secondary. I mean, he's a veteran player. He looked like he didn't know where to line up or if he was supposed to cover or be the free safety. There's a lot of miscommunication right now. The secondary's been. I saw Rod Woodson a couple weeks ago after the game against Cincinnati when they gave up 38. And it could have been more. And Rod was like, he thought it was Zach Orr, the new defense coordinator, maybe the head coach not trusting the defense coordinator yet. They lost a lot of assistance on that side of the ball. They lost Clowney, which was a big deal to them last year. They're not quite the same rush team. And all those things. It's a combination of things right now. And then they've had some injuries. And, Marlon Humphrey is still a very good player, but he's probably not a number one corner. And so it's a combination of things right now. And maybe even losing Patrick Queen at linebacker and Trenton Simpson in there, and maybe Roquan trying to do too much. I'm saying a lot, but there's a lot of reasons why. Like, honestly, Jameis Winston did whatever he wanted to do last week.
So, Baldy, what is the key for the Broncos pulling off this upset? Broncos and Ravens have the same record, both 5-3. It's obviously in Baltimore, and yet the spread is almost 10 points favoring the Ravens. So no one's giving the Broncos a chance here. So what has to happen for the Broncos to pull off this massive upset?
Well, it would probably be good if Bo played like he did last week. I mean, he got the ball down the field, got to his receivers, a lot of good play action passes last week, threw the ball on timing. They did a lot of good things in the passing game, but I think, you got number one guy you have to pay attention to on this Ravens defense is Kyle Hamilton, because he seems like he's everywhere. Like he's their blitzer, like he's their playmaker. He's a guy that I'm sure Sean Payton is trying to figure out, how you have to account for him and how you have to kind of make him disappear by formations, motions, protections. Like that's going to be a big part of the game plan. But I don't think they can just abandon the run game. You got to cobble it together, Javonte, Jaleel, Bo. Like you can't just abandon it, because then I think you'll play right in the Ravens' hands. The teams that, even like last week, Nick Chubb didn't run for a lot of yards, but they didn't abandon the run either. And Cleveland got a lot of good play action passes off it. So as much as you want to go out there and go, okay, let's throw it against a secondary that doesn't look like they know what they're doing, I don't think that's the way to go. I think you got to kind of do what they did last year. Try to run it, even if it's not great. Play action pass off it. Get Bo on the move a little bit. I think that's kind of the way to go offensively right now.
Do you think that this is a game where the Broncos want to just slow it down? Like they want to just chew clock, limit possessions, or just given kind of the strengths and weaknesses of the Ravens, do they want to go up tempo?
Well, you could play that style unless you fall, all of a sudden it's 14-0, and then you have to kind of abandon that. I mean, if the score if you keep it within a one-score game, you could play that style of football and take 40 seconds off the clock and make it an 8-possession game instead of a normal 12-possession game. So there's definitely validity to that argument right there, but it really does depend if the Ravens jump on the Broncos, then that kind of goes out the window. There's a part of me that says go up tempo and just see if they can get lined up, because they're having issues with communication. But then the problem with that is if you go 3 and out, you've taken 40 seconds off the clock, and then you're putting your defense back out there on the field.
Baldy, a couple of weeks ago, we talked to you about this defense, the Broncos defense, and you said that this defense was legit, and they've continued to play that way, and they've continued to come on strong and be a dominant defense. Now, as the offense starts to put things together and it's both starting to look better, is it time for you to call the Broncos offense legit, or do we need to wait on that a little bit?
Well, when I see, Jaquan make that interception, down to goal line last week, I go, it's still about the defense. I mean, that was an incredible play. In that game. That guy is just a great player. But I still think this is led by the defense. Although, look, you can't – remember it was difficult for Bo to complete a pass week 1 in week 2. And now he's throwing for 300 yards. It's evolving pretty quickly. And, 2 weeks ago we thought, well, maybe it's just about the rookies. Maybe Cortland Sutton is done, and maybe they're just – and, Lucas Krull is the tight end. And then here comes Troutman, and here comes – so – like that definitely isn't the fact. I don't think they're ready just to make this a quarterback passing game. But it's interesting. I know I posted a video of this, like Bo Nix is a quarterback sneak for a touchdown. Like I'm watching that, I'm going, that's what Drew Brees did his whole career there. Like that's Sean Payton showing. You take the ball, you use your athletic ability, you make a leap, you put the ball over the goal line, and you tuck it away. Like Drew Brees did that over and over again. And so you can kind of, I'm just using that as an example. Like you can still see how Sean Payton has Drew Brees in his mind about what he wants Bo Nix to do. Whether it's the screen game, whether it's formations and motions to get guys open, whether it's just a simple quarterback sneak. Like there's still a blueprint there of how he wants his quarterback to play. I just don't think, 8 games, I don't think they're ready to let Bo go out there and win these games by himself right now.
I think that's fair, Baldy. But along those lines, Bo just had the first game in Broncos history of 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and no interceptions, which is kind of crazy. Broncos have really good quarterbacks in their career. He's also been the best rookie quarterback over this past month statistically in the NFL. Is Bo developing faster and progressing better than any of us really thought he was going to, especially after the first couple weeks of the season?
I think so. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more. I mean, to be able to go in with the record they have, to go to Baltimore and Kansas City in back-to-back weeks right now and playing his best football with the roster, I think that still needs, upgrades in certain areas. I mean, I think it's faster than anybody could have thought. But I think there is a benefit to playing 61 college games. I think there is a comfort level. You can be coached. You have played in different systems. You've dealt with different language from different systems. You look at the guys that Bo Nix played with and the success they're having right now in other places. Bucky Irving and, Jaquan. Like some of these guys are playing good football in other places. Troy Franklin had a chance for a big play last week. I thought he could have caught that go ball. But, they're coming from successful programs with good coaching. The Ducks are, I think, number 1 in the country or something up there right now. I mean, it's a good program, and so there's a benefit coming out of a program where you get to play that much football. And he's an excellent athlete, and he's used that to his advantage right now.
Yeah, I thought this was not just Bo's best game overall, but his best accuracy we've seen, and probably because the footwork was so much cleaner than we've seen at any other point this season. When you see a game like that from a rookie, can we say that this is something that we're going to continue to see? Like, has he kind of solved the problem? Or is this just maybe a little blip when you're playing back-to-back games against teams that aren't great defensively?
No, I mean, he made a throw to Cortland Sutton last week where the first read was to his right. And, it's 13-yard dig routes. And he came back to his left. And, a lot of guys rush that progression right there. And they're just in a hurry because they don't know about the protection, and they're just in a hurry to get the ball, to the other side of the field. But you watch his feet, and his footwork changed first, and then the throw was a stick throw. And, it is mechanics. It is footwork. Like, one thing has to be there before the other thing, and the accuracy gets there. And you can see a real development just in his footwork and making those throws from the pocket. I saw it last week on a couple different occasions. And then, there's these quarterbacks have to play at a very fast twitch pace. They have to be fast, but not in a hurry. And I feel like that's kind of how you could describe Bo, at least last week. And I don't think it's an aberration. I just think this is the development that we can continue to see. Now, look, these are 2 tough games coming up, and you might see a little flatlining here. But at the same time, I don't think you're going to see just this guy lose the development and the mechanics that we saw last week.
Baldy, last question for me. Yeah, I know you grade a lot of O-linemen and watch a lot of O-lineman film. I want to talk about a guy that's really wreaking havoc against O-linemen is Nick Bonito. He's had his 6th sack in a row, so he's averaged a sack a game for six games. What have you seen from his development? And then also, do you think that he will be able to get his 7th sack this week?
The one thing about Nick, coming out of Oklahoma, like, he's got great movement. He moves very, like, his change of direction and his ability to bend is at that near elite, if not elite level. Like, he's a true outside linebacker, so he can drop, he can play in space. He can turn the corner. Like, he's got a really good skill set. But I think his movement is one of the reasons why I don't think people are game planning him yet, and maybe that's part of the reason for his success and why it's been consistent. But all you have to do is start putting some numbers up, and people are going to start sliding, chipping, doing the things that the great pass rushers get that I don't really see teams doing to him yet. But I think that's probably coming if that happens this week.
And Baldy, final one for you. The trade deadline is less than a week away. Next time we talk to you, it is going to have passed. Should the Broncos be looking to make a deal? And if so, what position should they be going for?
That's a good question. I think they're happy with the running backs. I I don't know what's going to be out there. I don't think they want to give up many assets. Like they didn't have many assets this year or last year. I think they're in the process of building this team. They're going to need assets to do it. It depends. They don't want to take on heavy contracts. They can't do that right now. So I don't know. Like I think they, to see Sternad playing like he is, like you wouldn't think you could lose your leading tackler and he could play at that level. The secondary is complete. Like I don't see that. The pass rushers are a variety of different ways. Like I just unless there's a receiver out there that just you could get him for nothing, or a tight end that you could get for next to nothing, I just don't see them doing anything right now.
Yeah, totally fair. And those are the two positions that Broncos fans want, either tight end or receiver. And we really appreciate you joining us, Baldy. Have a great weekend. And we'll talk to you next week before Kansas City Chiefs game with the Broncos.
Enjoy this one. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to watch it myself.
Oh, man, we're so pumped. Thanks, Baldy. Have a great weekend.
Okay. See you guys. Yep.